What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharpe, and welcome to Sharpe Sports Talk. Looks like they're having trouble streaming to mgtow.tv. Don't really care. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. Excellent. Okay, guys. So joining me today, as usual, are Jay Blaze from the car, Miami Jay from the studio, and, of course, yours truly. We've got a pretty good show for you guys today. We're going to talk about a number of topics we think you guys will enjoy, and so we're going to go ahead and get started. Shout out to Arturo, Luke Red Pill Perry's in the house, Jared Atkinson is in here as well, Embark is in the house. So shout out to everybody. Let me go ahead and pull up I'm going to pull up the Rumble stream as well, just so you guys know. The reason why we haven't been taking phone calls is because I've been having a little bit of trouble with my sound mixer. It's become fairly clear that I need to just get a new Rodecaster Pro, because this one, part of the functionality that allows me to take phone calls and for you to hear us and for us to hear you, for whatever reason, just doesn't work. So, and the Rodecaster, unfortunately, is out of warranty, so I'm probably just gonna have to buy another one. I might just buy a refurbished one, because I mean, I bought two Rodecasters. This one was the one that worked. I bought another one. That one was out of warranty, so I'm not going to spend another $600 on a goddamn Rodecaster if it's not going to work. At any rate, let's go ahead and get this party. Started with today's topic. So, our first topic, we're going to talk about Deshaun Watson. Now, Deshaun Watson this week said that he may have rushed back from his injury in his win over the Indianapolis Colts. Right now, he is dealing with it's a rotator cuff injury, and nobody knows how serious it is, because rotator cuff injuries, normally that's a 4 to 6 week injury, depending upon the severity. We've heard that it could be serious. We've heard that it could be minor. Deshaun Watson's not a doctor, but only he knows how he feels. So Deshaun Watson started the season, injured his rotator cuff. He missed a few games, came back, he got hurt again. Is it's really anybody's guess. So let me start with Miami J here. What do you think is going on with Deshaun Watson? Because the narrative is that he could have played with his shoulder, but it's clear that he cannot. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, first off, I think he might be career-wise, overall, I think he might be a couple of ankle sprains from becoming the injury-prone quarterback that can never play.
Yeah.
But as far as this injury in particular, rotator cuffs are one of those injuries that you'd never want to rush back. There's so many small ligaments and tiny little muscles and all kinds of things going on in that rotator cuff. They are notoriously hard to really diagnose what's going on. Like, you have a rotator cuff problem.
Yeah.
But it's hard to know exactly what's wrong with the rotator. That's one of those injuries that when you rush back, you're really, really taking a huge risk in that you're going to get injured again, and it happened to him. And it happens to major league pitchers all the time, also.
Of course.
So yeah, it's not advisable to rush back from something like that, especially if you're going to be throwing the ball a lot. So.
Okay, so it's your opinion that, hey, he should have, because a lot of people, sports pundits and former players were like, hey, you got to play hurt, but that's a rotator cuff injury. To me, a rotator cuff, just like you said, that's not something that you can rush back from. Not only that, it's his throwing shoulder. Exactly. Here's how much rotator cuff injuries affect quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall pick of the Browns not too long ago, got to the playoffs. They absolutely boat raced the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road. The very, very next year, he tore his rotator cuff in his non-throwing shoulder, but he played through that injury, and he was terrible. That was his non-throwing shoulder. He was still hurt when they traded him to the LA Rams. Now he's with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are surprising 3-2. Baker Mayfield has been voted as captain of the team. I don't know why we ever thought that Kyle Trask would ever beat out Baker Mayfield, because it was clear he was injured. Maybe people don't like him, but the fact that he had a left rotator cuff injury and he played as horribly as he did, we can't expect Deshaun Watson to be back anytime soon. So I'll come to Jay Blaze with this. Do you think that the rotator cuff injury is legit? And what do you think the future holds really for Deshaun Watson?
I don't see a happy ending on this one. So dude, you gave this man 230 guaranteed. He doesn't even have to work. Like, think about if you win the Powerball. Are you going to work? Like they've
No.
given him all this guaranteed money. He doesn't have to put up anything. No stats. You didn't make an incentive based. You didn't do any of this stuff. So I think I'm not going to say it's a complete like fake injury, but I think he could play through this because, dude, Baker has heart. Like, I have not seen any heart from Deshaun Watson, and dude, quarterback isn't like riding a bike. You can't go back into it like that. Those 2 years of him, with the suspension,
Yeah,
that was massive. That was massive because he was a top 5 quarterback before that, and I've seen bottom quarterback play from Deshaun Watson's since.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna go back to a world with the old Deshaun Watson ever again.
No.
I don't think we're going to go back to the old Deshaun Watson, but I disagree with Jay Blaze in that I don't think he should play through the injury. Again, this is Jalen Hurts, he sprained his AC joint and he missed 2 games. Matter of fact, when he came back against the Giants, he was still hurt, but the Eagles were so good. We managed to overcome that. Eventually, we rode that all the way to the Super Bowl. But I will say this. Now, I do agree with Jay Blaze on this. I think if I'm Deshaun Watson and the Browns offer me $230 million guaranteed, I'm not going to say no. And if I'm not going to say no, I'm not going to expect a player to say no either. That being said, the Cleveland Browns are the Cleveland Browns. They're not a well-run organization. They got desperate. I think they squeezed the trigger too quickly on Baker Mayfield. I think that they listened to all the noise. Deshaun Watson was kind of a pariah of the league for no good reason. Okay, so he was banging. Okay, so the guy was banging, massage therapists. Who doesn't? All of a sudden, everybody decides to jump on the money train. That's neither here nor there. But it was a mistake for the Browns. It would have been a mistake for the Browns to give anyone $230 million guaranteed. And like, we've got some pretty big contracts out there. Justin Herbert got 252.5. Joe Burrow got 275. Jalen Hurts got 251.5. That's the total cash value of their contracts. Deshaun Watson is getting $230 million if he never plays another down in football again. Now, that being said, if you do make that kind of money, yes, you are going to be far less willing to play through injuries. But I think that a rotator cuff injury is one of those injuries that players absolutely positively should never, ever, ever play through. Yeah. Baker Mayfield played through it, and it cost him his spot on the team with the Cleveland Browns, who then made the egregious mistake of signing Deshaun. Listen, I think they should have given him a $230 million contract, but they should have only guaranteed $100 million. I'll give you both the last word on this. Miami J, what are your final thoughts on Deshaun Watson?
I'll just say that's not an injury you can play through. That's like trying to play through a torn ACL.
Yeah, right.
Especially in your throwing shoulder. I mean, let's say you can put up with the pain. The point is, eventually you're going to lose the range of motion and you're not going to be able to physically throw.
Right.
So all you're doing is hurting the team and you're hurting yourself even more. So why you can't try to play through the pain with a rotator cuff? It's physically impossible for you to throw like you used to. It's physically impossible for you to keep throwing at the same rate that you're throwing.
Gotcha.
Because you're going to get progressively worse.
Okay, very good. Jay Blaze, final word on Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I don't see him playing through it because, dude, you can't hurt the team anymore. And PJ Walker has a lot of heart, but he's no like Deshaun or anything. And, dude, their team is absolutely loaded.
Yes.
So if they don't have a quarterback, they're not going anywhere. So do they try and make a trade for? I'm assuming Kirk Cousins is on the trade block. That would be a very interesting landing spot.
Yeah, and I will say this: I do like PJ Walker, but I agree. In PJ Walker of XFL fame or USFL fame, I can't remember which one he came out of. Yeah, he plays with a lot of heart. He was in Carolina. I think he won a couple of games. With the Panthers. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, like Jay Blaze said, the Browns are loaded. And oh, by the way, the Cleveland Browns have the best defense in the NFL. That's why they are currently 4-2. So we'll stay tuned to see how that works out.
They don't need a superstar at quarterback. They just need a guy who's not going to make mistakes.
Nope, I totally agree. Eric Grimey says bad trade. No. Nobody traded for Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson was a free agent when the Browns
No, they
gave.
traded 3 picks. They traded
did
3
they?
first-round picks. 3 first-round
Oh,
picks.
holy shit. Well, never mind. Eric Grimey. Well, let me think.
That's
Now,
way too high
here's
a
the
price.
thing. Here's the thing is, was that a bad trade? I don't know. I don't want to say it's a terrible trade. The only reason why it's a bad trade is because of the guaranteed money they gave him. I would have if I were if I were Cleveland and listen, man, let's just keep it real. The Texans fleeced the Texans fleeced the Browns because the Browns knew that the Texans wanted to get rid of Deshaun Watson. They knew that they wanted to get rid of them, yet they still price gouged them. And the Cleveland Browns, true to form, a very terrible run organization. Jimmy Haslam is not a very good owner. He's kind of wonky. He's been involved in some shady trade deals. This is what it looks like when you're not a well-run organization. Ken Rose with the $5 super chat. Appreciate that very much.
I didn't know that they gave up 3 first-rounders for Deshaun Watson. So
Neither did I.
With Deshaun Watson, they're not going to draft anybody for like the next 3 years. So they're pretty much screwed.
I mean, again, they guaranteed him $230 million, and I will tell you this: if they were to cut Deshaun Watson right now, the Browns would have to take on $201 million of dead money next year. That's insanity. That's why we know Deshaun Watson's not going anywhere.
The only hope is their Gardner Johnson becomes like a really good quarterback in the next year, and then they can cut bait with Deshaun and not get like that extra QB hit in a way.
Yeah, Dorian Thompson Robinson is, again, he's like PJ Walker. He is not Deshaun Watson.
No.
I don't think Deshaun Watson will return to Houston Texans Deshaun Watson, but he's the best quarterback they have on the roster. And fortunately and unfortunately for the Browns, they owe him another $200 million guaranteed.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes. All right, so let's now talk about the Denver Broncos. So the Denver Broncos, they are 1-5 this season. They were 5-12 last year. So in the last 2 seasons, the Denver Broncos are 6-17. I think the one team they beat this year are the lowly Washington Commanders. There have been grumblings about Sean Payton maybe wanting to start Jarrett Stidham. But before we get into that, here are Russell Wilson's numbers through week 7. He has 1,499 passing yards, 13 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions. Now he has a QBR, that is a quarterback rating, that's an ESPN stat, a QBR of 46.1. So he's below average, but 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I think he's completing somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 65% of his passes. I don't think Russell Wilson is the problem, because if you bring in Jarrett Stidham in his career, 58.8% pass completion percentage, 6 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Listen, man, I think the narrative around Russell Wilson is just because a lot of people don't like his fake aura. They don't like the fact that he's kind of robo QB. He says all the right things. Everything is scripted. He's disingenuous. He has a corner office. He's not really a good locker room guy, this and that and the other. But I don't think Russ is the problem. Again, 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns, 4 picks. Now the defense is historically bad. What's Russell Wilson supposed to do when the other team puts up 70? So what are your thoughts, Miami J? Do you think Sean Payton has lost trust in Russell Wilson, and do you think that eventually Jarrett Stidham will end up as the Broncos starting quarterback?
I don't think he's lost him yet. By the way, Denver did beat the Packers. They're 2-5.
They're 2-5. I thought they were 1-5. Jesus Christ.
Either way,
yeah, there you go. Yeah, you're right.
Everybody, especially in the media, they're wanting these results now. Football, more than any other sport, a coach needs time with his team.
Yes.
And especially at the quarterback position. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson were never going to click, right off the bat. They can get along just fine, but from a football perspective, Russell Wilson's got to learn that system. He needs time under it. I think Denver's panicking for no reason. They need to fix that defense, and maybe Russell can start having more opportunities to play better. So yeah, I don't think either Sean Payton or Russell Wilson's the problem. I think in the long term, if they stick around there for a couple more years, they'll be fine. They'll be back in the playoff hunt soon.
Jay Blaze, has Sean Payton lost trust in Russell Wilson, and will Jarrett Stidham be the starting quarterback at any point this year for the Denver Broncos?
I think he has lost trust because if you look at Russell's career, he's always had like a run game, and then when shit hits the fan, he will either run it or run and gun like the bootlegger, and he thrives in like chaos. That is not Sean Payton. If you look back to Drew Brees, like Drew Brees was around the same size Russell Wilson was, but he learned to like play on his tippy toes because it gave him more height to throw over the lineman, and Drew Brees was an excellent timing quarterback. At Russell, he doesn't understand timing or anything, and so that's what Sean wants Russell to do. He wants him to get the football out at the same exact time where the receiver's making the break. Like Tua is an expert at this, where he just hits them and is right. It's right there when they're making that break. Russell doesn't do any of that stuff. He just wants to bootleg and just thrive in chaos. And it's kind of like Kyler Murray in a way, where he just wants his instincts to take over and get the big play.
Well, he did do quite a bit of that in Seattle with under Pete Carroll when they had those Super Bowl seasons. I think he can do it. I just don't think he and Sean Payton have come along far enough yet. So
yeah, guys, again, keep in mind, we are 7 games in. Dr. Sinister, love you to death, but this is a bad take. He says they don't need time at the professional level. Stop the cap.
Yes,
what the fuck are you talking about? Guess what, Dr. Sinister? They're professionals on the other side, too. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson have never worked with each other. And listen, they're both, at this point in their careers, they're both borderline future Hall of Famers. But everybody needs time. Dude, even Carson Wentz, his first year, he went 5-11 before he popped his second year. Jalen Hurts got to the playoffs, but we got curb stomped by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't care how much of a professional you are. You need time to gel your team together because the other side, they are also professionals too.
That's why it was always ridiculous when Aaron Rodgers, before he got injured, it was ridiculous to call the Jets a Super Bowl contender, let alone a playoff contender, because they were never going to go 4-0, 5-0, 6-0 with Aaron Rodgers.
I agree.
I don't care how well he plays; they need time to gel together, especially when they play so little in preseason.
You know what's interesting? I think there's also a racial element coming into play. Dr. Sinister does not believe that Russell Wilson is a pocket passer, more a cap. What are you talking about? Like, again, I really think this is a racial thing. I think black people don't like Russell Wilson because he's not a street nigga. I think that's what it is. Russell Wilson is the epitome of a square bear. He's an Uncle Tom. He's a simp who married Sierra. I think that black men, I don't think they like him. And I think that their disdain for Russell Wilson and his aura, I think that's clouding their judgment. Because to say that Russell Wilson is not a pocket passer, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. He won a Super Bowl. He's been 2-2. And everybody makes excuses for success. He says, Jared Atkinson says, he did have an all-time defense in Seattle. Yes, he did. But he was still the quarterback of a Super Bowl winning team. We don't listen, man. We say Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls, right? But nobody talks about the fact that he was basically a game manager for the first 2.5, maybe 3. That first Super Bowl Tom Brady won, he was just along for the ride. He had an all-time defense, right? But nobody says, well, Brady won 7 Super Bowls, but he had an all-time defense for those first 2. No. Russell Wilson was the quarterback for a Super Bowl winning team. That's the bottom line. And he has proven that he can be a pocket passer. This is why, and again, his rookie year in training camp, he took the job as a 4th rounder away from Matt Flynn. That's not for no reason. So I think it is, I think a lot of the disdain for Russell Wilson, I think there's a racial component to it. Go ahead. Who was going to say something?
Yeah, no, I was going to say saying he's not a pocket passer, it's ridiculous. Russell Wilson, he was never the Cam Newton, scramble for your life type of running back.
Yeah.
He could throw on the run. Some of his marquee throws and best plays in in his career have been throwing on the run.
Absolutely.
But the majority of his passes are from the pocket. That can't be disputed.
No, of course not. No, I totally agree. He says outside of that run, he hasn't done much really. Oh, so we're just gonna discount the Super Bowl. Well, outside of the Super Bowl run, guess what? You don't remember Russ has been to 2 Super Bowls, and he was on the doorsteps of winning. Russell Wilson almost beat. He was on the doorsteps. Now, he threw that interception, but he still got them there. This dude almost beat Peyton Manning and Tom Brady in consecutive Super Bowls. So saying outside of that run, he hasn't done much really. When I hear comments like that, and I'm not trying to bag on you guys, but you guys aren't watching the games. Russell Wilson was a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer before last season. He had such a terrible season that now that's not really a conversation anymore. But to say that outside of his Super Bowl, he hasn't really done much. Well, guess what? Outside of Eli Manning's 2 Super Bowls, he hasn't done much either. Yet he's still going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely. I just lost my train of thought, but
that's okay.
Yeah, you remember that comeback against the Packers in the playoffs?
I
do. That
do.
was an impressive freaking game, and he barely scrambled in that game.
That's exactly right. That was the Super Bowl. That was the one leading up to Super Bowl 49, which when he threw the 1-yard interception to Malcolm Butler. Yeah, he threw that dude. He threw the deep ball to Tyler Lockett to win the game in overtime. I really do believe, and don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest Russell Wilson fan off the field. I happen to think that he is kind of a square bear. I mean, listen, this is who he is. We can all sit here and we can wish that he would be more authentic, but this is just who he is. I don't like his off the field persona, but I can compartmentalize the way I feel about him personally with his play on the field. And I think a lot of people just don't like Russell Wilson, so they say he's done. Listen, man, they gave him $265 million for a reason. The guy's got the talent. Is it working in Denver so far? We're 7 games in. We can't really say one way or the other. Jay Blaze, get in here. What do you think? What do you think the future holds? And we'll just go on to the next topic. Let me ask Jay Blaze here. Do you think that Russell Wilson will be on the roster of the Denver Broncos next season? Yes or no?
I believe they got their pick back. So for the offseason. So if they have a top 5 pick, I don't know how they don't select a quarterback.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and dude, if you have Stidham, where if you can cut bait with Russell, but I don't see any trade potential because he's just been like not as good. But if you can get Stidham to like mentor the new guy, it could be that Russell gets traded somewhere, but I just don't see any like market for Russell Wilson right now.
Yeah. Now I got to disagree with you on that.
How about the Cleveland Browns?
Think about this. Let's do this. Let's do this thought experiment. Let's just say Russ is not on the Broncos next season. Let's just say they have a top 5 pick because that's where they're headed towards.
Yeah.
Dude, listen, there's Caleb Williams, there's Drake May, there's Bo Nix. I mean, dude, this year's quarterback class is incredible. And guys like Russell Wilson, guys with big contracts who are playing on bad football teams, they have a lot to really be worried about. And if the Denver Broncos decide to part ways with Russell Wilson next year, that is $174 million of dead cap money. Maybe it's so bad they decide to actually eat it. But I will say this. Let's just do this thought experiment here. Let's just go through all the NFL teams. What NFL teams do you think would be in the market for a Russell Wilson? I'm just going to get this just a quick yes or no. Miami J, you answer first. Jay Blaze, you answer next. The Cardinals, would they be interested in a Russell Wilson?
Yes.
Jay Blaze?
I don't think they could afford him with the Kyler Murray contract.
Very good. Not only that, the Cardinals will probably be picking in the top 5, which means they'll probably pick a quarterback, so they won't have any.
I have a dark horse team that I think would definitely be in the running.
Let's hear it.
The Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a good one.
Cousins, I don't think is going to be there next season, so I can see them going after because they're not going to end up with a high draft pick either. So
right.
I see them going after maybe a 1-2 year contract with Russell, and then having some rookie learn under him, and then give him a shot.
If I'm the Vikings, I try and trade Kirk before the deadline and try and get as much capital.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, when he walks away as a free agent, they get nothing because Curtis said, listen, I want to stay in Minnesota, but I don't think that's going to be feasible. Atlanta Falcons. What do you think about the Atlanta Falcons?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think the city fits well with Russell's lack of a personality.
Definitely
I don't.
not. Atlanta is the last place Russell Wilson.
Atlanta would eat him alive.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Jesus fucking Christ, dude! Atlanta hates me, man. You know they're gonna hate Russ. Obviously the Carolina Panthers are not gonna trade for Russ.
No.
They don't want Russ because they've got Bryce Young. How about the Chicago Bears, man? They've got Justin Fields. They'll probably have a lottery pick. I don't think that they would go after Russell Wilson. I don't think they'd be interested.
I don't think so either.
Okay. The Dallas Cowboys, I don't think so. They've got
if they cut bait with Dak before his contract and then maybe trade for Russell, that's an off the wall thing, but it could happen.
It would be intriguing. It would be intriguing.
Exactly. That would be a hot take, kind of a dark horse sort of thing.
I like that.
It would be
I think Dak has 2 years left, so you could do a swap Russell for Dak. And they have 4 more years of Russell, and then you draft a quarterback and say, Russell, train this guy up.
There you go. I like it. Russ to the Cowboys.
That could probably work out really well because Dak Wilson's
that's a good one, man.
Dak Prescott's a crappy Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
big Dak Prescott is a poor man's Russell Wilson.
Yeah, exactly.
Big Daddy says he doesn't see it. Let's see who else. Big Daddy says Jerry Jones are going to take on this ridiculous contract. Yeah, that's true. This guy says the Cowboys have Trey Lance to build up. No, that's
Jerry's already regretting that trade.
Dude, listen, man. No, that is a hard no. Trey Lance, listen, I like Trey Lance. I'm sure he's a good kid. He's 100% a bust. Trey Lance is definitely no. Trey Lance is not the savior. Let's think of another team. Any other? Let's go down the list. Detroit's got Jared Goff. What about the Green Bay Packers?
No,
that could happen.
I think they'll give Love more time to develop. But what about the Steelers?
No, I don't think. I don't think the Steelers. No, I don't think Russ is Russ is not a blue collar type of guy. He's Hollywood. He's Sierra. He's LA.
To bring it back to the Packers, isn't Jordan Love his last rookie contract year?
Yes.
Is this year?
This is the last year of his rookie deal. So
if they don't see anything from him, they could trade for Russell.
They could. Okay, very good. The Rams have Matthew Stafford. The Vikings, we already talked about them. The Saints just signed Derek Carr. What about the New York Giants? Now, the New York Giants have Daniel Jones. Clearly, he's not worth a $160 million contract that they gave him. If they were to cut bait with him, I think the dead cap money is $88 million, which is still a big number. But, I mean, do you guys think Russ would maybe fit in? I mean, listen, he's big city Russ. He's Hollywood. He played in Seattle. What about the Giants?
I think Brian Daboll would work well with Russell because when Josh Allen was at his best, he was throwing up bombs. Yep. Russell, he's good at the deep ball and bootlegging. So he could work with Brian Daboll.
Okay, very good.
I think the Giants are a better fit than most.
Okay, very good. Here we are.
And Sierra.
Go ahead.
Sierra would love to be in the New York market.
Would love to be in New York City. Absolutely. Phantom 313 says maybe the Bucks. What about the Buccaneers?
So Baker.
So Baker has gone down a little bit the past few games. So if Baker doesn't get back on the rise, that could happen.
Okay, very good. So I think, listen, we're not going to go through all the teams, but it's funny. The narrative is Russell Wilson's trash. He's washed up, but guys, it could be much worse in Denver. And I think it's obvious that even though Russ is not having a bad year statistically. But I think it's clear that there's probably a bigger market for Russell Wilson than most people are willing to admit. I think we can all agree on that.
Especially with the state of quarterback play in the league. Absolutely.
Yes. Jared Atkinson says he doesn't see it with the Bucks. The Bucks are in a very unique position. They play against the Buffalo Bills tonight. We'll be talking about that game. They've got Baker Mayfield, who is still very young. He's having a very good year. We'll see what happens. Big Daddy says Baker Mayfield is overrated. Maybe Russ goes there. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think Baker Mayfield is overrated. I think he's properly rated. He is my favorite player in the league. My 3 favorite players in the league. It has nothing to do with skill. Baker Mayfield, number 1, Deebo Samuel, number 2, Micah Parsons, number 3. Those are my 3 favorite players in the league. Pro Special says the Bucs need a restart at the quarterback in the draft. I think a lot of teams probably fall into that. Here's a question from Phantom 313 says, should the Jets pursue Kirk Cousins? Jay Blaze, go.
I don't know how they could get Kirk Cousins if they have Aaron Rodgers saying he's coming back.
Yeah.
So you would have 2 quarterbacks, or you say to Aaron, we need Kirk for this playoff run. But they're not in the playoff chase yet. But with Kirk, you could definitely get in the playoff run. But the AFC is really tough this year.
Yeah, it's really
tough. I don't know if it's worth it.
Miami J, should the Jets pursue Kirk Cousins?
No, I don't think it's a long-term solution for anything. Maybe for a playoff run, short term, if they can get him for just the remainder of the season. But I don't think Cousins would agree to that.
Yeah. I don't think he would either. I think it would be a rental, right? I think it would be a rental at this point. But think about this. Let's just say that they do trade for Kirk Cousins. Now you have Aaron Rodgers, who's talking about coming back. You have Zach Wilson, who has probably the best arm of all 3 of those guys. And now you've got Kirk Cousins, who is a rental. I think that's just too much. To me, that would be too much drama. I think Kirk Cousins would be a great fit for the Jets. Personnel wise, but locker room wise, I think that would really, to me, that's just too much action in the quarterback room. You got Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Kirk Cousins. All 3 are viable starting quarterbacks in the NFL. And if you have 3 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. I'll just go ahead and say that.
You know what? That just made me think of the NFL would be so damn interesting if they had like European soccer, you can loan out players. If they allowed that, that would be freaking nuts.
Oh my God, yes, it would be. Oh my God, yeah.
Let's send Kirk Cousins out on loan to the Miami Dolphins for 6 months.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Omar's in the house. Good to see you. And here he says, I keep telling people not to sleep on the Lions. Yeah, the Lions. A lot of people are talking about the fact that the Lions could be the number 1 seed because I think they have the easiest schedule left in the NFL or something like that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. Give me a second. Millennium says, is Kevin Stefanski an offensive or defensive minded head coach? Kevin Stefanski, he is an offensive head coach. He was the offensive coordinator for the interim offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings before he got the job in Cleveland. Shane Will Win says Cousins is 35. He's trying to be on one team for the next 3 years. I would agree with that. Yeah. Big Daddy says Zach Wilson has played well. He is coming around. Hey, he beat the Eagles. You know what I'm saying? He beat the Eagles. So it is what it is. Let's move to the next story. Our next topic. So Jordan Love, not exactly having the best of seasons at this point. They just lost to the Denver Broncos, who are a historically bad defense. So he lost to the Broncos coming off of a bye week. He had 2 weeks to prepare for a horrible Broncos defense. Didn't come up big. Jordan Love doesn't push the ball down the field. Now he had success early, right? I think they started out 2-0 or 2-1 or something like that. But now that the rest of the league has tape on him, he's ineffective. So they're 2-4 on the season. Jordan Love's numbers, 1,263 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 7 picks, 57.5% completion percentage. That is unacceptable. He has lost to the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Falcons. Now, that was a good loss to the Lions because the Lions are just a much better team. But when you lose to the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Falcons, that to me, that says that you're probably not a very good quarterback. So let me come to Miami J first with this one. Should the Packers draft a quarterback in the upcoming NFL draft? Yes or no?
Yes, absolutely. They should.
Okay.
I mean, especially the last 2 games, Jordan Love has looked absolutely terrible. Will he end the season like this? I don't know. He started it out doing all right, but 3 interceptions in 1 game against the Raiders team that's not all that great. That doesn't bode very well. Yeah, if I'm the Packers, I'm absolutely drafting a quarterback.
Okay, very good. Jay Blaze, if you're the Packers, are you drafting a quarterback with Jordan Love on the roster?
So he's on the last year of his rookie deal. And dude, this is what you always hope for. You have Aaron Rodgers sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years.
Yeah.
Telling him this is how you practice. This is how you conduct yourself. And dude, there's no excuse for Jordan Love. You had a franchise that drafted you first overall after with Aaron Rodgers there, and then you sat behind him for 3 years, and it looks like you learned nothing from him.
Right.
And there's no excuse. Like, look at what Patrick Mahomes did after one season with Alex Smith, sitting behind him.
Right.
And you can't allow this. Like, and you can't pay him after this year because he hasn't done anything.
Yeah, let me just clarify real quick.
Yeah,
I mentioned earlier that a coach and a player need time. Jordan Love has had the time, even if this is his first season starting. Jordan Love's had 3 years to learn this system, and like you said, Jay Blaze, to learn under Aaron Rodgers.
You either have it or you don't.
It's not the system, it's not the coaching, it's Jordan Love.
Nope, I totally agree. Phantom 313 says, "Love you, big brother, but the Falcons had a top 10 defense." I'm actually surprised by saying this. Yeah, you know what? The Broncos, the Raiders, the Lions, and the Falcons. I think the Lions and Falcons were probably better losses than the Broncos and Raiders. Yeah, the Falcons are sort of a sneaky good team. I think if they have a better quarterback than Desmond Ridder, I think they probably win a few more games. Here's another comment. Fred Casillas says, "I don't think Jordan Love is a rookie." Jay Blaze, do you consider Jordan Love to be a rookie?
No.
Okay, what about you, Miami J?
No, not at all.
Okay, and why is that?
Well, because we just said it. I mean, this guy's had time to learn and develop, and and throughout the years, he's had enough games to.
No, I agree.
I wouldn't call him a veteran.
Well, of course not.
But definitely not a rookie. Absolutely not. By the way, Falcons, we just mentioned the Falcons. They're leading their division, man. They're a sneaky good team.
Who's leading the division?
Falcons.
Oh, the Falcons. Yes. Yeah, I think that the Falcons are definitely a better team than I'm giving them credit for. I think at some point we need to draw a distinction between a rookie and a first-year starter. Because Patrick Mahomes, his first year as a starter, he wasn't a rookie, but he won the MVP. It was clear. Big Daddy, I think he nails it here. He says Jordan Love ain't a rookie. He should know what he's doing by now. I totally agree. I think they got to move on. Go ahead.
You ever heard the term red shirt freshman?
Yeah, of course.
Dude, he's not a red shirt freshman. He's most likely. I think of him as like a junior.
He's like red shirt senior.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Let's go to our next. Let's go to our next topic. This actually has to do with the Green Bay Packers here. So, Matt LeFleur is the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. Now, the first 3 years in Green Bay, he goes 13-3, 13-3. 13-4. I think he's the number one seed in 2 out of those 3 years. Of course, he lost the NFC championship game in Lambeau to the 49ers. So in his first 3 years, he is 39-10 with Aaron Rodgers. He is now 2-4 without him. Okay. The Packers have lost now their next 5 games. They got to play they got to play the Vikings, Rams, Steelers, Chargers, Lions. I see maybe one win in there. Dude, the Green Bay Packers could start at 2-8. I'm thinking 3-7 at best. We've actually had a couple of precedents here. Nathaniel Hackett got the job in Denver because of Aaron Rodgers. Nathaniel Hackett was not equipped to be a head coach. We don't even know if he's a good offensive coordinator at this point. Adam Gase was supposed to be the quarterback whisperer. Yeah, it's easy to be the quarterback whisperer when the quarterback you're working with is Peyton Manning. And of course, Eric Bieniemy. Everyone wanted to champion Eric Bieniemy as this genius offensive coordinator. No, your quarterback is Patrick Mahomes and the head coach is Andy Reid, who is really calling the plays. And oh, by the way, Washington's offense is fucking terrible this year, and they can't move the football. So now begs the question, is Matt LeFleur overrated, or do we need to give him a little more time? Miami J, what you got?
Well, he needs a little more time. I never think that a coach can really do it by himself. I think we just said it. Jordan Love's not the answer for them at quarterback, so he needs to find his quarterback. Having Aaron Rodgers, very, very easy to go 39-10 when you have Aaron Rodgers there.
Of course.
And, it's like the Belichick-Brady thing. Now that Brady's gone, Belichick's, human.
There you go.
So, give him a little more time. Let him try to find a quarterback. Jordan Love's definitely not it. So let him try to find a quarterback and then see where it goes from there. If he goes out and gets his guy, his quarterback, whether it's through the draft or free agency or whatever, he says, this is my guy, and puts him in the system, and then it doesn't work, get rid of him.
What say you, Jay Blaze?
So let me ask you. say Cliff Kingsbury got hired by the Packers and did the 13-3, 13-3, 13-3. Would we be saying a different thing about Cliff Kingsbury? You switch those guys? Like I haven't heard anything that Matt LeFleur did before now, like as an offensive coordinator.
Right.
So I think he's overrated, and I think you're seeing how different like things are without an Aaron Rodgers. Like, and Aaron said it before they hired him. Like I want a defensive head coach, like to really hone in on the defense, and so I can just run the offense. Like,
yeah, that makes sense. I actually like that assessment. My answer is yes and no. Matt LeFleur has been, I think he got grouped in with Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, very, very successful. They were all in Washington when Kirk Cousins was there. Kyle Shanahan is the reason why Robert Griffin III won the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Kyle Shanahan is the reason why Matt Ryan won the league MVP a few years back. And, Kyle Shanahan is the reason why Mr. Irrelevant is actually in the discussion for league MVP this season. So Kyle Shanahan clearly has the chops. Then there's Sean McVay. Sean McVay has gone to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1 with 2 different quarterbacks. Now, he got to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff, who clearly is flourishing in Detroit. But Sean McVay recognized that Jared Goff was missing whatever Matthew Stafford has. They traded Stafford. They win a Super Bowl immediately. So Sean McVay has the chops. I think Matt LeFleur got grouped in with, and I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve the job, because listen, you can put me in the fastest Formula One car. That doesn't mean I'm going to win the race. You got to know how to drive the car, right? So like, I could not have coached, Aaron Rodgers the way Matt LeFleur did. That being said, like I said, I think he's a little bit overrated, but I think we do. I agree with Miami J. I think if they get Jordan Love out of there, because let's give him a little bit of credit. So he was 39-10 the first 3 years with Aaron Rodgers. His first 2 starts with Jordan Love, he was 2-0. So, but now that the league is caught up with Jordan Love and they see his deficiencies and his inabilities, now I think Jordan Love is the problem in Green Bay. So I think my answer is yes and no. Matt LeFleur is overrated because they grouped him in with 2 guys that he worked with in Washington, and Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. But my answer is no, because he did do it with Aaron Rodgers and he did get a couple of wins with Jordan Love in the beginning. So I think that we should say, hey, look, let's wait and see, because it doesn't matter how great a head coach you are. I think the only head coach in the league that can maybe be viable with a shit quarterback is Kyle Shanahan. That's the only one. Other than that, you're not winning games with a crap quarterback. Final thoughts on this?
Would you agree that his circle is Zach Taylor, Cliff Kingsbury,
yes,
and so that's Matt LeFleur's his class.
Yeah,
and I still think Zach Taylor, very good head coach. I was hesitant on him until like 2 years ago, but I think he's a very good head coach. And I think Cliff Kingsbury started to get his feet under him towards the end, but I haven't seen anything from Matt. He looks like lost sometimes when he's on the sideline, and it just it boggles my mind.
Miami J, final thoughts.
Well, I just want to thank Brett Rockmore on the chat. Says this is the best damn sports podcast on YouTube. So
hey, there we go. Appreciate that. Awesome.
No final thoughts. I don't think he's overrated yet.
Okay.
What you said does hold water. I mean, he got lumped in with all those guys, so maybe he wasn't as good as those guys. But I think he deserves a chance to go out and find his guy and see where it goes from there.
No, I totally agree. I think they need to get rid of Jordan Love. I think they need to draft a quarterback, and then we'll probably get a better idea as to what caliber of coach he is. I think he's qualified. I think he deserves the job, but I think it's almost like the Odell Beckham Jr. Jarvis Landry effect. Jarvis Landry kept getting contracts because he's best friends with Odell Beckham Jr. And listen, I'm not mad at Jarvis Landry, and I'm not mad at Matt LeFleur, but sometimes when you work with certain people, you get grouped in with them unjustly. Maybe that happened here with Matt LeFleur, but again, he's won 41 games in the NFL in his first 4 seasons.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I will give him that. The guy can coach.
If nothing else, it might have been Aaron Rodgers really leading the team to those 13-3 seasons. If nothing else, for those 3 seasons, Matt LeFleur has earned a couple of seasons to try to make it work with the run.
Yep. Hey, listen, man, he was in 2 NFC championship games on the doorstep of the Super Bowl. I think that buys him something. Go ahead, Jay Blaze.
So the Packers are going to have a top 5 pick. What quarterback do you want to see go to the Packers?
That's a good question.
I'm thinking Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix is a good fit for Green Bay.
Because I don't see Caleb Williams going to Green Bay. No, I don't see that.
No, I don't see Caleb Williams. I think Drake May. I think Drake May would be a good fit. I think Bo Nix would be a great fit. But I think Caleb Williams is going to be. He is the preemptive number 1 overall pick. I don't think he wants to go to. Green Bay. Okay, let's go to our next story. Is bad quarterback play. So far here in 2023, offenses are averaging 21.7 points per game. That is the fewest points per game through week 7 since 2010. So far, we have 491 touchdowns. That is the fewest touchdowns through week 7 since 2007. We've got the fewest yards per play. That is the fewest yards per play since week 7 of 2006. That's 5.2. We have the lowest touchdown pass percentage through week 7 since 1999. That was 3.8%. We have the fewest yards per completion through week 7 since 1940. Jay Blaze, why do you think quarterback play has suffered particularly this year?
So I think this is partly because of in colleges and in high school, they're choosing the best athlete to become a quarterback. And I think before you'd have like Tom Brady or something that weren't physically gifted, but they had a mind to like look at film and stuff. But you now have like these Kyler Murrays that just go on about their instincts and stuff.
Yeah.
And you have less practice because quarterbacks learn like how to read defenses through practice. So if you remove practice, they're not getting those reps. Like you look at Dak Prescott, he's been in the league 8 years. He looks afraid when he's behind center because he doesn't know how to read defense. No. Like you need to give these guys reps.
Yeah, no, I agree. Miami J, your thoughts? Why is quarterback play so bad this year?
I think Jay Blaze hit on an interesting point. I think the quarterback position obviously has evolved in the last 20 years tremendously. I think it's a position that is much less scripted nowadays. A quarterback, they need more improvisational skills. Obviously, every quarterback seems to be a scrambler these days. I don't know what it is about this season that has been so bad. I don't think defenses have gotten that much better. I don't know. Maybe it's a compounding effect of all these quarterbacks maybe running out of ideas. I don't know. I'm not sure why, but it has been discouraging to watch. That's to say the least.
I think, listen, I agree with all of your reasons. I agree with Jay Blaze's reason with the practice time.
Mm-hmm.
The new collective bargaining agreement, it does not, like, you can't practice as much. You can't do as many OTAs. Also, there is a bit of a youth movement going on in the NFL. Yep. Think about all the young quarterbacks we have in the league: Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, Sam Howell, Kenny Pickett, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud. There's no more stat mongers in the NFL other than Kirk Cousins. There's no more Tom Brady. Yeah. Peyton Manning retired, Big Ben, Phillip Rivers. You can count on those guys for 35 to 40 touchdown passes per season every year. I also think that bad O-line play has a lot to do with it. There are a lot, like, it's weird. There are no in-between offensive lines this season. You either have a great offensive line like the Eagles or the 49ers or to some degree the Cowboys, or you have a terrible offensive line like the New York Jets. So I think bad O-line play and I think the youth movement has a lot to do with the bad quarterback play. So let me ask a follow-up question here to Miami J. What do you think needs to happen for the quarterback play to get better?
That's a great question.
Big Daddy says quarterbacks don't have any time in practice to gel with the receivers.
Yeah. Well, obviously they need to learn their systems. That
Sure.
That's probably the number one thing. I don't think maybe quarterbacks are not as studious as they used to be. They're a little more egocentric.
Yep.
Especially these days when you mentioned that we have a ton of young quarterbacks.
Yeah, of course.
Let me pose a question though, because another position that has changed drastically in the last 20 years is the running back position. You don't have a featured back anymore. You think maybe that has these running backs by committee? You think maybe that has affected the quarterback play?
I'm sure it probably has. And here's another endangered species, the fullback. The only fullback that I know of in the NFL is Kyle Juszczyk for the
I don't remember any other
49ers. Yeah, there's no more Moose Johnstons. There's no more Tom Rathmans. It's just
Mike
running
Allstott.
back by committee.
You remember Mike Allstott?
Oh, dude, Mike Allstott. Oh, dude,
That was
Mike Allstott
massive.
was he was fucking awesome. And he was the guy that they would give the ball to on 1st and goal. He took a lot of touchdowns away from work done. Roadblock 85 says, great discussion as always with the $10 super chat. Appreciate that. Eric Sherman says, part of the problem is many quarterbacks are getting overpaid on their contracts. No, that's bullshit. I don't think that that's a reason at all. Quarterbacks make as much money. Quarterbacks make the same money relative to the salary cap as they always have. Quarterbacks have always been the highest paid player on the team because they're the most important player of the team. So I don't think their contracts have anything to do with poor quarterback play. I don't buy that at all. I'm not the guy. I'm not saying that Eric is doing this, but I'm not the guy that's going to blame a person's contract on their poor play. If anything, Jalen Hurts might be pressing a little bit too much to try to live up to the contract. But recently he said, listen, man, I got to dial back and I have to let the game come to me. Yeah, I make $51 million a season, but that doesn't mean that I have to do it all.
Yeah.
Final thoughts. Go ahead.
I'm not sure the contracts are to blame for the quarterback play. I don't think that's the case. Having said that, I do think quarterback contracts are way overinflated right now.
You think so?
I do. I think these quarterbacks.
I do agree.
Much as a percentage of the salary cap.
Okay. Yeah, I disagree. I think the quarterbacks. Think about this. I think it's in. I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think quarterbacks make about the same percentage wise as far as the salary cap. But I will say this. Aaron Rodgers has never really been thought of as injury prone, but he's had a couple of season-ending surgeries, right? Yeah. How many honestly? So you remember when Aaron Rodgers has broken both collarbones, right? The Green Bay Packers were unwatchable at that point. Does anybody want to see Mike White under center for the Miami Dolphins? Does anybody want to see Marcus Mariota under center for the Philadelphia Eagles? And does anybody know who the backup quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons is, right? Does anybody know who the backup quarterback for the Packers is, right? The best backup quarterback in the league is Tyrod Taylor. That's because Daniel Jones is the worst starting quarterback in the league. The point is that, yeah, listen, man, quarterbacks might be getting overpaid, but they're worth it. I think relative to their impact on the game, I would argue that quarterbacks are underpaid. That might not be popular, a popular opinion, but quarterbacks are important because if Patrick Mahomes gets hurt, guess what? Kansas City season is over, right?
I don't disagree, but I think that's the point. I think, and we talked about this before, the current market for quarterbacks, that it was set by Patrick Mahomes by that $400 million 10-year contract. Yeah. No other quarterback is worth that. Patrick Mahomes is a freak. No. He's by far the better quarterback in the NFL.
That makes sense.
This is why I think it's overinflated, because some of these average quarterbacks, like the top 5 quarterbacks, dude, pay him however you want to pay him. Sure. But these like average guys, these like 10 to 20 guys,
Daniel Jones,
you can't give them top money.
Yeah, Daniel Jones is not worth the money. Dak Prescott ain't worth the money. Let's go down the line. Which quarterbacks are worth the money? Listen, now I agree with you guys. Pay him as much as you want, but let's just go down the line here with big contracts. Kyler Murray, not worth the money. Desmond Ritter's a rookie. Let's see. The Panthers, Bryce Young's a rookie. Justin Fields is a rookie. Dak Prescott, not worth the money. Jared Goff, probably worth the money. Jordan Love, he's terrible. Matthew Stafford, is he worth the money? I would say so because he has won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's a veteran. Him and Aaron Rodgers are probably the old timers right now. So yeah, he's worth it.
Okay, Kirk Cousins is worth the money because he's still on that 3-year, $84 million contract.
That was by far the best quarterback contract in football from an organizational standpoint for the last 10 years. That was a great contract.
Yeah, totally agree. By the way, Brett Roquemore says Taylor Heineke is the backup for Atlanta. I'm a Falcons fan. Okay, very good. That makes sense because I remember Taylor Heineke was the guy that gave us our first loss last season. Go ahead.
Can I just say one thing? Like, dude, some of these organizations, like, they need to grab their cojones and say to like a Dak Prescott or like or one of these average quarterbacks, just hey, take a walk, test the free agency, and then come back with a manageable contract.
There you go.
Or they go ahead. We'll draft a quarterback. We're going to spend the rest of this money on a couple weapons here or there, and then we're still going to get pretty good production from the quarterback you're about to draft.
Yeah, what do you think, Miami J?
Yeah, no, I agree. Teams need to be less scared of losing their quarterback.
Yeah,
yep,
absolutely.
I agree.
Unless you have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, one of these top guys, you can't be
top 5 quarterbacks. You pay them whatever you want.
I mean, you look at it. First round quarterbacks are a dime a dozen these days.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
You have 5 or 6.
Derek Carr, I don't know what his contract looks like, but right now he's not worth the money. Daniel Jones, clearly not worth the money. Jalen Hurts, worth the money. Brock Purdy, obviously worth the money. Geno Smith, he's worth it. Baker Mayfield, worth it. Sam Howell, Lamar is worth it. Josh Allen is worth it. Burrow's worth it. Deshaun Watson, not worth it. Russell Wilson, not worth it. CJ Stroud's a rookie. He's worth it. Anthony Richardson, worth it. Trevor Lawrence hasn't gotten his big contract yet, has he?
No.
Okay.
Or Tua.
Now that's a whole other ball game. That would have to be incentive laden. There would have to be a bunch of conditions in that. Trevor Lawrence deserves $50 million a year. Mahomes, clearly worth it. Jimmy Garoppolo 3 years, $72 million. So that's what, 20 something million.
So somebody needs to tell me what the hell Jimmy Garoppolo's done in his career besides be Tom Brady's backup. Because he went to San Francisco
Super Bowl, man.
So much hype.
So much hype. I agree, but he played in a Super Bowl, but he can't stay healthy.
So
Jimmy Garoppolo's made out of peanut. When he's on the field, he's all right, but Jimmy Garoppolo's made of peanut brittle. Like, you look at the guy and he sprains his ankle. So no, I don't think he's worth the money.
No, I don't think so either.
Justin Herbert, worth the money. He's the only reason why Brandon Staley hasn't been fired. Tua, still on his rookie deal, worth the money. Zach Wilson on his rookie deal, worth the money. Mac Jones is not worth the money, even though he's on his rookie deal. Kenny Pickett, worth the money. Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee, worth the money. He didn't really sign that big a contract. So I agree with you guys. I agree. Now, on my end, I agree that quarterbacks are not overpaid. But when average or below average quarterbacks are overpaid, that's when it becomes a problem. Big Daddy, so Derek Carr got $150 million over 4 years. So what's that? $37 million a year? Not worth it. No. $37.5 million a year? Definitely not worth it. At least not yet. Go ahead.
Do you remember Joe Flacco before he won a Super Bowl? They offered him a contract. He turned it down, and then he got a
Super Bowl.
Yeah, he got paid after the Super Bowl, and that's when he got his big payday. Yeah. But he was not going to make as much. Dude, you got to do that with these average quarterbacks. Dude,
approve a contract.
You can't give Dak Prescott like a top tier contract and expect to win football games. Like you just can't do it.
I agree. I need more. And I like Dak. I like him as a player. I like him as a person, but I need if I'm going to pay you $40 million a year, I need a quarterback that's going to throw receivers open.
Yeah, that's what I need. Dak's never going to be that guy.
And Dak never throws to spots. He always throws to listen, you're going to throw to receivers if they're open, but I don't think, and maybe I'm not paying attention, but Dak always throws to receivers. He never throws to an area. He never throws to a spot. He only throws it when the receiver is open. That ball has got to be out of your hands before the receiver is open because of the anticipation. Brett Roquemore makes a very good statement. Dak is an unbelievable leader. He is a C. I would give him a B- quarterback. That's what I would do.
I just use Dak as an example for an average quarterback.
No, I agree.
But there are a ton of different ones. Yeah.
Dak to me is above average, but he's not worth $40 million.
No, to me, he's average and a little overrated.
There you go. I agree. And now to Miami J's favorite topic, The Philly rugby play. That's right.
Dude.
The brotherly shove. So Miami J has recently had a change of heart.
Yes.
Before he said, "Hey, look, man, the play is all good to go," but the Eagles used the Philly rugby play 4 times in 4 critical situations to down the Miami Dolphins. I think the game was probably a little bit closer than the score would indicate.
Yeah.
That being said,
and the damn play.
Yes, that's okay. So Miami. So all right. So Miami J says, get rid of the play, especially when it's the Dolphins.
No, in all seriousness, I don't think they should get rid of that play.
We're coming to you, Mike G.
The thing works. It's crazy how well they make it work, and it's unstoppable. It really is.
Let me give you a quick statistic, and we'll talk about Tyson Bagent here in just a second. So the rest of the league, when they run this Philly rugby play, 68%. That's pretty good. The Eagles run it 91. Dude, we are successful 91% of the time. It's actually 96% this season. Now, when other teams try to run it, they don't really do that well. Brock Purdy is in concussion protocol because they tried to run the Philly rugby play.
How many touchdowns? How many rushing touchdowns has Hurts up to?
Oh, Jesus Christ. He set the single season rushing touchdown record in the NFL last season.
Yeah,
he's already got the most. Yeah, he's already got the most rushing touchdowns in Eagles history.
And I don't think he's going to rush for 100 yards all year. It's all on the back of his play.
Probably won't. Nope. He absolutely. Oh no, he's definitely not. So Brock Purdy got a concussion because of the rugby play. The Giants ran the rugby play and got 2 offensive linemen hurt. The Cowboys ran the rugby play and there was an offensive lineman who got his finger jammed. Look, man, at the end of the day, can't nobody run it like the Eagles run it. And it's definitely scheme and personnel.
Yeah.
What a lot of people tend to sort of forget is that when we run this play, our 2 tackles, Lane Johnson, who is the greatest right tackle, probably the second greatest right tackle in NFL history to Anthony Munoz. The guy hasn't given up a sack in like a decade. He moves to the guard position. Jordan Mailata, our left guard, our 6'8", 300 and whatever pound, former rugby player, he moves to the left guard. So now it's Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, and Jordan Mailata getting low. That's like 1,600 pounds of beef. Then you've got Jalen Hurts, who is low to the ground and squats 600 pounds. Then, of course, we've got the push. I think a lot of people need to just sort of understand that it's not just the play, it is the personnel. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Jay Blaze?
So I remember watching the game, and I think they were on their own 30, and it was 4th and 1. And he took a timeout, and he's like, "What? Why not go for this? Like, right. We have an unbeatable play." And then he did it another time later on that drive. I was like, I don't know how you stop it.
Yeah, it's I don't know how you stop it either. Joe Thomas came out with a tweet a little earlier. He had some sort of combination. Here's how to stop the Philly rugby play.
Look. Every defense has tried every single way. They've lined up every defensive lineman over every gap, over every offensive lineman. They've come high, they've come low. Nobody's been able to stop this thing. I don't think anybody will.
Dude, it's one look. When it comes down to it, the Eagles do it better than everybody. And here's the thing. At some point, offenses are going to start to run this with a little more success, and defenses are going to start to catch up to it. They haven't figured it out at some point, somebody's going to figure it out. I would imagine. It just doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon.
Yeah, but you said it yourself. It's the combination of both the scheme and the personnel.
Yeah.
Nobody else has a quarterback that can squat 600.
No. And Jalen Hurts is 6 feet, 225 pounds. He's like a bull. And oh, by the way, Jalen Hurts is a quarterback with tailback skills. He doesn't run like a running quarterback. He runs like when he tucks the ball and runs. Well, at least the last year, he runs like a running back until, of course, and oh my God, I'm so glad he slides now because last year he used to fucking give me a fucking
last year you just said it. He was putting his shoulder down, going at guys.
Oh my God, he was killing it. He was absolutely killing it, man. So give me 1 second. So a quick question. Mike G wants to know your thoughts on Tyson Bagent, the rookie starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. What are your thoughts on Mike Bagent, Miami J?
I haven't seen him play yet. I'm very weary of opining on him if I haven't watched him play, honestly.
Yeah.
I'll make a point to watch him this weekend and see what's up.
Okay. Jay Blaze, your thoughts on Bajan?
We haven't seen an undrafted quarterback since Tony Romo actually makes some noise.
Yeah.
So I'm rooting for him.
Okay.
But we'll see. Like, if I don't expect much from him for the Bears, but if he can play a couple games here and there and then go to a different team with a better coaching staff, you could see him make some noise. But with the Bears, they had no tape on him, so
yes,
it is what it is.
Yeah. Listen, most rookie quarterbacks, especially when they come in, are successful in the short term because nobody has any film on him. Yeah. Jordan Love, again, he started out the season 2-0 because nobody had any film on him. Look, he's got some flashes. He looks to be a good decision maker, but I agree with Miami J. Unfortunately, he has the wrong coaching staff. I don't think we'll really know who or what he is until he gets traded to another team with a better coaching staff and he gets more playing time. This is at this point, we have a 1-game sample. We have the most interesting thing about him is that his dad is like a 70-time arm wrestling champion. So we know that we know the kid could arm wrestle at the very least. But at this point, I think the jury is listen, we can say the jury is still out. The trial hasn't begun on Tyson Bagent. I think we need to wait a couple more weeks. And that's assuming that Justin Fields gets better before the season's end. So we'll see how that goes. Shane will win with the $10 super chat. Says unretired Troy Polamalu to stop the Eagles tush push.
That's the comment of the night right there.
Yes, because Troy used to run and jump over the fucking offensive line. That dude was hair flying in the wind and everything. That shit was
I think
crazy.
that's what they gotta work on the timing, but they gotta work on the timing to where the guy jumps over the offensive lineman and gets right there in that gap between the back of the center and the head of Jalen Hurts.
It's
right there.
Somebody's gonna listen. Nothing works forever.
No.
Somebody at some point, because listen, the Eagles are we're not 100%. We're 91%. I think we're like 43 for like 47 or something like that. So it's been stopped before, and at some point, somebody is gonna figure it out. But like I said, I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon. If I'm being perfectly honest.
No.
Let's go to our next topic. So the Buccaneers and the Bills are playing tonight. This is a very, very important game. And look, the discussion on the sports talk radio shows is this a must-win game for the Buffalo Bills? To me, what qualifies as a must-win game is that if you don't a must-win game happened a couple nights ago. The Philadelphia Phillies needed to beat the Arizona Diamondbacks and vice versa, or else the season is over. So listen, if the Bills lose this game, they're 4-4. Does that mean they can still go to the playoffs? Of course. I don't think this is a must-win game, but I think this is a game they definitely need. That being said, the Bills were just embarrassed on national TV. They lost to the lowly Patriots. Not only do I think they win, I think they cover. I think they win this game by 17 points. I'm going 27-10 Buffalo Bills. They cover. Obviously, I'm taking the under. What's your prediction here, Jay Blaze?
So I think the Bills do need this game because the Bengals are still barely floating up. So when they get their feet under them, you want to have a better record than them. Yeah. And I think the Bills already lost the division to the Dolphins. It's gone. And so there's some really good wild card teams in the AFC.
Yeah.
So you need to have some good wins under you, and you can't lose after losing to the Patriots, who they've been god awful this season.
Brent Roquemore, aka Captain Obvious, says the Eagles O-line might be better than Dallas this year. They are strong. Yes, the Eagles have the best offensive line in football, and at this point, it's not particularly close. Phantom 3-3 says I think the Bills are on the decline. Phantom 3-3 asks a very good question. We'll divert here for just a second. He says I remember a few weeks ago. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. It says I remember a few weeks ago you said the Bears, Jets, Arizona, Cleveland are a poorly run organization. How do you feel about the Ravens, Falcons, and the Cowboys? Let's talk about the Raiders first. I think the Raiders, I don't think they're a poorly run organization, but they could be run better. Jay Blaze, what are your thoughts?
I think the Raiders, the NFL wants him out. The owner, they want him out so bad. because they want a guy like Jerry Jones who just will write the ticket and like pump up his team to new levels. Yeah. So I think the Raiders, like, they had a good coach after the John Gruden firing. Yeah. That was keeping his team like up there. Like, he went to the playoffs. And dude, why get rid of him for McDaniels, who does not have a track record of being a good head coach?
Right.
So they make some bad choices, like, which just boggles my mind. So yeah, I don't think they're managed well.
Miami J, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they're probably middle of the road. When Al Davis was there, obviously, and now his son's there. So yeah, I agree with Jay Blaze. The NFL wants them out. They've always done their own thing. They're probably the most independent owner there is.
Yeah, that's true.
But as far as the way the organization is run, I think they're probably middle of the road. I don't think they're bad. I don't think they're great.
I think the Falcons are a pretty good run organization. I think they make good personnel decisions. They moved off of Matt Ryan. I don't think, to me, they made a mistake firing Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn, of course, gave up the 25-point lead in the Super Bowl to Tom Brady and the Patriots in Super Bowl 51. Yeah, 51. He had a couple of bad years after that, and then they ran him. I think he's the heir apparent in Dallas. As far as the Cowboys are concerned, are the Cowboys a poorly run organization? I think they are, man. And I think the only reason why the Cowboys are viable is because they're in Dallas. But I think the main problem in Dallas is my favorite. I love Jerry Jones. I love him to death. And oh, by the way, Jerry Jones is the reason why the NFL is back in Los Angeles. He was the one working the room at the NFL meeting saying, hey, guys, if we get 2 teams in Los Angeles, that's more money for everybody. Right. So Jerry Jones, solid businessman, highly, highly influential. But I think that Jerry Jones is the problem with the Dallas Cowboys. They have had so much talent over the years and have absolutely nothing to show for it. The Eagles won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. All of the talent that has gone through there. Dude, Tony Romo, Ezekiel Elliott, Marion Barber, CeeDee Lamb, Des Bryant, that offensive, dude, Tyron Smith, Tyler Smith, Frederick. They're loaded on defense. DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons. Now they have Stephon Gilmore. They have consistently underachieved. And if I think that if they were under better ownership, I think they would be better off. What are your thoughts on the Cowboys organization, Jay Blaze?
So Jerry runs his franchise like a family business. He keeps bringing in old people like Leon Lett and stuff. He doesn't bring in new guys. Like, he doesn't bring in those guys with like the fire in them. Like, you had these the young Eagles coach, dude. He had a fire in him, and he gave you new ideas to bounce off like people in that organization. Yep. And Jerry just doesn't do that. Like, he gets Mike McCarthy, who's I haven't seen anything original from him for like 5 years.
Right.
And what like, he's not going to do anything for you. Like, the Dolphins coach, all the new ideas, he schemes like people open over the place. The Cowboys don't do that.
Miami J, your thoughts on the Cowboys?
Yeah, I think Jerry Jones is the main problem with that organization. Yeah. I don't think there's anybody in that building who challenges him, and I think that's the way he likes it.
Right.
He's the GM. For all intents and purposes, he's the head coach. So, the coaches they're going to do what he wants. This goes back to when he wanted to hire Bill Parcells. You remember that?
Yep.
This is over 25 years. It's been the same story.
Yeah. I remember Bill Parcells.
I think if he ever retires, whoever takes over, one of his kids or whatever, hopefully they'll just be more of a figurehead in the back and running the NFL owners meeting, be a traditional owner. And then I think the Cowboys can have the pool to actually get a good coach and put together a decent run.
Okay, very good.
The Cowboys were at their best when they had the buffer of Jimmy Johnson.
Yes.
Right.
He was a buffer.
And it wasn't really a buffer. Jimmy Johnson did shit his way.
Yeah,
he challenged
exactly.
Jerry Jones, and he gave him 2 Super Bowls. Jimmy Johnson was so influential that 2 years after he left, Barry Switzer came in from Oklahoma and won Super Bowl 30 with Jimmy Johnson's team. The Cowboys have not been the same since. I'm sorry, Jay.
No, Barry Switzer was the first of the line of yes men.
Yes,
Jerry
exactly.
Jones and Jimmy Johnson didn't get along so badly that Jerry Jones just said, "Okay, nobody else is ever going to challenge me again. We're going to do things my way." And there you go.
And because Barry Switzer won the Super Bowl as a yes man, Jerry thought, you know what? I can have a yes man. Dude, Wade Phillips, Dave Wanstead, Chan Gailey,
Jason
Bill
Garrett.
Parcells was there for a little. Jason Garrett, Bill Parcells was there for a little while, but that didn't last long because Bill Parcells famously said, "If you want me to make the meal, I need to be able to shop for the groceries."
Yep.
Jerry did not want to cede that general manager power, and that's why Bill Parcells was up out of there.
Yeah.
Sad but true. I love Jerry Jones, but he is the problem. This next topic is about so Pat McAfee recently signed a 5-year, $85 million contract with ESPN, and the reason for that was because his YouTube show was getting more ratings, more viewers than the 12 o'clock Sports Center on ESPN. But according to Jay Blaze, he's not so popular. It looks like the ratings are going down. What are you hearing? What are you hearing about Pat McAfee and the whole ESPN situation?
So the thing with Pat McAfee, because ESPN was going woke. He hit the market on a really good time because he got his connections through Barstool, and he was able to get his YouTube channel to 2 million followers.
Yep.
And part of it because he was the alternative to ESPN and Fox Sports and all those mainstream guys.
Right.
Because all he did was have all of his boys from Pittsburgh, and they were just shooting the shit about sports, just a bunch of guys, just like none of them had like professional journalists,
nope.
like anything. They were just a bunch of bros just broing out and talking sports.
Yeah.
And so he was able to get that up, and ESPN they culled all the people in their firings, and they wanted Pat to come and bring his ratings to ESPN. They were hoping they were going to get his his YouTube following to come over and watch ESPN. They're not doing that. They're sticking to YouTube. They do not want to support ESPN Disney.
Wow.
They don't want to support them. And so they're staying on YouTube. Like you have the Aaron Rodgers segments.
Yeah.
I think those are unfiltered on YouTube, but they're filtering it, I believe, on ESPN.
That's probably exactly the main reason why people aren't coming over is because they know they're going to get filtered. They know it's not going to be the same quality.
Now that I didn't know. I had no idea that it wasn't like the genuine article. I thought it was the same on YouTube as it was on ESPN. And Jay Blaze actually made a good point that I hadn't thought of. People don't. The only time I ever watch ESPN is the games.
Yeah,
that's it. I don't watch First Take. I don't watch any of that stuff because it just gets all it loves Stephen A, but it's just too goddamn woke. Like, I'm tired of Molly. Like, dude, Molly is starting to get too big for her britches. She's checking Stephen A on the air. It's getting a little bit crazy.
And by the way, I think we can announce McAfee got bought out by ESPN. We can announce that we're in talks with Fox Sports right now to buy TSR Sports.
Yeah, there we go. Yes,
exactly.
We are in talks with we are in talks with Fox Sports to compete directly with the McAfee show.
So, can I talk to a little bit more?
Yeah.
So, Pat had the perfect line because he was with College Game Day before his ESPN contract.
Right.
So he could double dip and still get the ESPN audience to come to him on YouTube and still stay somewhat independent.
Right.
But now, because they culled a bunch of the Game Day people, like I can't remember his name, but one of the guys was super popular, and they fired him. And so now Pat, because he has this big contract, they're putting him in more segments, and now the audience is saying, dude, we don't want to see Pat McAfee all the time on College Game Day.
Right.
But because of his contract, they want to put him in as many segments as possible on there, which is make like you can't do that because like Pat's good in like sort of moderation, but they're not doing that.
Was it David Pollock? Is that the guy you were talking about?
Yeah, David Pollock.
Okay, yeah,
David
that's
Pollock.
Roadblock 85. I like Pat McAfee. And I to be honest with you, I actually like him more on College Game Day than I do on his show. But Jay Blaze, I had no idea that people were purposely watching YouTube for Pat McAfee so they can support him without supporting ESPN. I had no idea that was going on, but it makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
I think his YouTube show's still getting average like 300K listening to him, but I don't think it's anywhere near that. And they have a lead-in. They have First Take as a lead-in for the Pat McAfee, and I believe they're turning it off after First Take.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Brett Roquemore says ESPN really pisses me off with all the women on there. I love women, but I have no interest in hearing them talk football. It just look, man. Like even on FS1, I'm not interested in hearing Joy. Like they had like Malika Andrews was on First Take. I actually happen to be flipping. Malika Andrews is the fucking worst. And so what Molly Karam asked Malika Andrews was Victor Wembanyama, and we're going to talk about him next. Was Victor Wembanyama's was his debut underwhelming? She says, yes. To me, it was. What the fuck, dude, Malika, what the fuck do you know? What the fuck look, man, look, check this out. Love women. I really, really do. But like Brett Roquemore, I'm not interested in hearing women, especially women who never played the game, give their opinions on sports. I'm not going to bitch and moan about it. I just turn off the TV when it's on. Yep. And I think that's why this is one of the many reasons why ESPN is continuing to struggle, because we don't want to hear fucking women talking about sports, especially women who never played them. I'll give you the last word, Miami J.
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean,
okay.
So
really very little to say here. I mean, women.
Yeah, they're trying to bring in.
No, finish up.
They're trying to bring women into sports to get women to watch sports, and women have no interest in watching sports. No. They don't.
No, they don't.
They're throwing away like Marvel. They're throwing away the guy audience for women, and they're making the sports really feminized, which turns off even more guys.
A perfect example is his AT&T commercial. I think it's AT&T that I'm seeing now, where you have Steph Curry and some random ass WNBA lady that I've never seen in my life, and they're sitting there comparing their MVPs and their championships or whatever. Like, nobody's ever heard of this girl, and she's sitting there. Well, oh, you got 7 MVPs, I got 8. It's like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah, like you got an MVP in a women's sport. Like, listen, I'm sure. Look, I'm happy for you, but it's just not the goddamn same.
Oh, and Pat McAfee never covered WNBA ever.
No,
and he's already done multiple segments since ESPN bought him out.
What? Oh, what? See, I don't watch the Pat McAfee show, but I didn't know he was covering the fucking NBA. Oh my god, dude! In those production meetings, his boys must be like, "What the fuck are we talking about Asia Wilson and Kelsey Plum for?" Okay, the Vegas Aces are back to back. And the only reason I know that is because ESPN crams it down our throat. Nobody gives a shit about women's sports. Women don't even care about women's sports. Fuck out of here.
That's the point, I think, ultimately. I think some women are starting to realize that, or some in the media, is that it's not men who have failed women's sports. It's women who have failed women's sports.
Right.
So I will say the only way to get women to watch women's sports, if you make the women in women's sports feminine, and they start to incorporate, like you saw Barbie become a mega hit. If you can incorporate some of that, but all these women are just woke, like activists that hate America, and they're not likable in any way.
No, they're not.
I mean, and let's face it. I mean, most women who end up watching sports, they're watching it to watch the sweaty men.
Yeah,
exactly.
And Devin watches sports with me because I watch them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? That's just kind of how that goes.
Exactly. I mean, bottom line is more men are interested in sports than women. So it makes absolute sense that men's sports are going to bring in exponentially more revenue. So
I agree.
why the hell are we splitting all this media time between men and women's sports?
Hey, you know what? I don't know, but I don't care. At some point, there's an old saying in the sales business. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense.
Yep.
I don't know why ESPN continues to throw money at these programs and these women when clearly this is not what men want to see, but it is what it is. Fred Casilla says only women watch the WNBA. Wrong. Women don't even watch the WNBA.
Old guys. Yeah. Their audience is old guys.
Yeah, dude, I'm trying to tell you, man. And not only that, this is why we know women's sport. Kim Kardashian does not go to WNBA games. She wants to go to the fucking Lakers games. She's not sitting courtside at the LA Sparks. She doesn't give a fuck about that. She wants to go to the Lakers game. She wants to go see LeBron. That's just how it's always going to be.
The only way to get men to watch women's sports is to bring back. You remember that lingerie football league?
Oh, yes.
Bring that back. I'll watch a little bit of it.
There we go. Yeah. At that point, I would watch, especially for wardrobe malfunctions.
Exactly.
I'll just put it to you that way. As we round third and head for home here. So yesterday, Victor Wembanyama made his NBA debut. They ended up losing to the Dallas Mavericks, I think, by like 5 or 6. But Wembanyama actually had a pretty decent game. 15 points. 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. So he filled up the stat sheet. Now, he only played 23 minutes because he got into foul trouble. That could probably be attributed to his youth. Probably some nerves going on. It's his NBA debut. Field goals. He goes 6 for 9, so he shoots 66% from the field. He shoots 60% from 3-point land. Now, listen, he's not going to shoot 60% forever. But the fact that a 7'4" guy shot 5 threes and made 3 of them is unbelievably amazing. Miami J, what do you think the future holds for one Victor Wembanyama?
I'll be honest, I don't know much about him. I don't follow basketball as close as I should, so I don't want to predict his future when today's honestly the first day I ever read up on the guy when you told me we were talking about him. So
okay, gotcha. What do you think, Jay Blaze? What do you know about Victor Wembanyama, and what do you think?
So I hate to compare him to Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant was unstoppable because he was so tall and lanky, and he could just drop threes he could just shoot it from anywhere. Dude, if this guy can get anywhere near that with the amount of size he has, dude, it's terrifying.
Oh my God.
I will say this. We talked about well-run and poorly run organizations. I lived in San Antonio for a while. He's definitely with the right organization.
Oh, yes.
Now, very well-run.
I want Pop out, though. I want him out.
Really?
I can't stand him.
I don't like him either, but the dude can coach. The dude can coach, man. That's for sure. All right. It is now time for the greatest segment in sports. I'm actually going to start adding to my power rankings. I'm going to start calling them Donovan's Dirty Dozen. Right now, I've only got the top 10, but I'm going to start calling them Donovan's Dirty Dozen, triple Ds. And that's actually my preferred boob size. Devin right now has E-tits, so her tits are nice and big. Anyway, so without further ado, here are my power rankings through week 7 from 10 to 1. At number 10, I have the Buffalo Bills. They have lost 2 of their last 3 games. Okay, so they dump truck Miami, but they have looked shockingly pedestrian since then. I think they get off the schneid in a big way against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Love Baker Mayfield, but the Bills just have too much firepower. I think the Bills, like I said, I think they run away with that game 27-10. Hopefully that will move them up. At number 9, I got the Cleveland Browns. Look, man, the Cleveland Browns are 4-2. And oh, by the way, they have the best defense in football. Myles Garrett, nobody can guard Myles Garrett. I remember against the Tennessee Titans, he sacked Ryan Tannehill and the right guard at the same time. Myles Garrett is a fucking monster. The Cleveland Browns are balling out of control. If Deshaun Watson can return to even 75% of his form, I think the Cleveland Browns have a real shot at making some noise in the playoffs. At number 8, I've got the Detroit Lions. Now, the Lions just got boat raced by the Baltimore Ravens. I think that was an aberration. I think it was maybe a time zone thing. And the Baltimore Ravens are a much better team, I think, than people realize. Jared Goff, I mean, listen, man, Dan Campbell's going to win. He's going to win Coach of the Year. And I think the Detroit Lions have a realistic chance at getting the number 1 seed. This is what makes me nervous with the Eagles, is that right now we're the number 1 seed. we still got to play the Cowboys twice. We got to play the Chiefs. We got to play the Niners, and we got to play the Bills. Dude, the Detroit Lions basically have almost have bye weeks for the rest of the season. I think right now they have an inside track at the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. That's why I have them at number 6. At number 8. At number 7, the Dallas Cowboys. Look, I love Micah Parsons, but he needs to stop talking. It makes for great conversation fodder, but the Cowboys, they were exposed against the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers absolutely dump trucked them. It was like 42-10. I think the Cowboys are still a good team, but they are limited by their quarterback and their location. I have them at number 7. At number 6, I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, man, they didn't start off so hot. They're undefeated outside of the U.S. They're 5-2. They could also be a number 1 seed, although I think Kansas City is probably going to be closer to that. The Jaguars also have a very sneaky good defense. Trevor Lawrence is ever getting better. Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, they are loaded on offense. They're laser focused. And of course, my guy Doug Peterson leading the way. At number 5, I have the Miami Dolphins. Okay, so the Miami Dolphins lost a tough one to the Eagles. The Dolphins are going to have to show me something because I saw a stat today that was a little surprising. The Dolphins have not beaten a team with a winning record since week 3 of last season. Mm-hmm. I don't think that, listen, the Eagles are clearly one of the best teams in the NFL. You know, it was a little cooler out. You know, there was probably a little bit of shock value, and, you know, the level of opponent that the Dolphins have played up till now, nowhere near compared to the Eagles. It was kind of like a, you know, kind of an ice bucket challenge, cold water over the head. I think they'll rebound. I think they're a top 5 team. At number 4, the San Francisco 49ers. Now, one thing that we have to understand is that Brock Purdy did not look good against the Cleveland Browns. However, he is now in the concussion protocol. He threw the two interceptions he threw was after his concussion. That's not a small deal, guys. That is not a small deal. And the reason they lost that game is because their kicker missed the last-second field goal. Brock Purdy drove them all the way down the field. He got them in position to win it. He can't kick the ball too. I still think San Francisco is one of the teams to beat in the NFC. I think Brock Purdy will be fine. An intriguing story this week is Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is in line to start for the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of people are anxious to see how Sam Darnold performs under Kyle Shanahan because word on the street was that Kyle Shanahan was interested in Sam Darnold before. So now Sam Darnold gets to come in, you know, a former high draft pick. He gets to kind of maybe showcase his skills. He's a little more expensive than Brock Purdy. So maybe if he shows out, maybe the Niners can maybe trade Sam Darnold, get some draft capital, bolster their team even more. I've got them at number 3. At number 4. At number 3, I've got the Baltimore Ravens. Dude, the Baltimore Ravens, they took the Detroit Lions, one of the best teams in the NFL, behind the woodshed. That game was over early. Lamar Jackson is throwing the ball better than he ever has. Nobody can stop him on the ground. The Ravens also have a really good defense. And oh, by the way, Odell Beckham is not even having a really good year, right? I think he's missed 2 games, and the Ravens are still 5-2. They are sneaky good. At number 2, I've got the Philadelphia Eagles. We had the bad loss against the New York Jets, who aren't really that bad a team. But other than that, we manhandled the Miami Dolphins. I think they are definitely the team to beat in the NFC. And of course, at number 1, I've got the Kansas City Chiefs. Listen, they have the best loss of the season. They lost to a really good Detroit Lions team by 1 point without 2 of their top 3 players in Chris Jones and Travis Kelce. Since then, they're 6-0. They've won 6 straight games. No, they're not blowing teams out, and no, their offense is not clicking on all cylinders. But the true measure of a champion is a team that doesn't play their best football, and they can still win football games. Kansas City is that team, and Philadelphia is that team. I think we played our best game of the season against the Dolphins. To that point, we hadn't really played that well. We were still 5-1. So those are my top 10 teams. So what are your agreements, disagreements? Miami J, what you got?
I can't disagree with a lot. I like Kansas City at 1. I will say about Miami, you're absolutely right in saying that they got to show something. It seems like every game for Miami it's a blowout, either one way or the other. Miami's got to prove that they can get down and dirty and grind out a win when they have to.
Okay. All right.
That's the type of game Miami needs to win. The Bills, they have a really tough schedule coming up. They still got to go to Philadelphia, Dallas, Kansas City. So does Miami, by the way. They still got to go to Dallas and Kansas City. Wow. Detroit, I agree with you. They are sitting very, very, very pretty. They have barely any tough games left. If Brock Purdy hadn't gone down, I'd actually have the Niners at 1, I think.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I still will have them at 1, but we'll see what Sam Darnold can bring. I still think the Cowboys are overrated. I would maybe throw the I would move the Lions up, maybe throw the Seahawks in there.
Okay. Yeah, I think, you know what? That's interesting that you say that. I think if the Lions and the Cowboys play today, I think the Lions probably win that game. So I will go with you on that.
100%.
Absolutely.
Look, the Lions are proving it week in and week out. Yeah, they
Yes.
got low rates by Baltimore, but you know what?
Baltimore's good. They're a good team.
Baltimore's good, and everybody's entitled one bad day.
Absolutely.
So far, Detroit has had one bad day. Miami's had 2. So,
Okay, that makes sense.
We'll see what happens.
I will say now. So Brett Roquemore, he agrees. He says, "Nah, Philly should be number 1. They're playing better than Kansas City." Maybe. I think the Eagles are playing better than Kansas City, but the Eagles' loss is worse than the Chiefs' loss. The Chiefs lost to a very good Detroit Lions team. We lost to a New York Jets team that's not as good as the Lions. And to be the man, you got to beat the man. Kansas City beat us in the Super Bowl. And until, listen, we play the Kansas City Chiefs. If we have the same records when we play the Chiefs here in a few weeks and we win that game, I will give us the number 1. But until Kansas City loses, they're going to be number 1. I think the Eagles are playing better than Kansas City, but this is just purely a respect. If the Eagles and the Chiefs were to play today, I think the Eagles would win. The Eagles were a better team than the Chiefs last year. The Eagles are a better team than the Chiefs this year, but the best team doesn't always win the Super Bowl, and the best team is not always really the best team. So it's almost like, hey, look, to be the man, you got to beat the man. So I think the Eagles probably could be at number 1, but because of they lost to the Jets, the Chiefs lost by 1 to a good Lions team without 2 of their top 3 best players. That's the reason I put them at number 1. Jay Blaze, what are your thoughts on the power rankings? Agreements, disagreements? What do you think?
So I still don't think the Cowboys deserve to be in the top 10 because they haven't beaten anyone. But I don't know who else you put instead of them. Dude, this has been like the NFL made its became the best thing on TV because of the parody of the league.
Yes.
And dude, there's no parody anymore. It's supposed to be any given Sunday, but all these teams have the best quarterbacks in the league, except for I think the Chargers.
The Browns.
But
yeah, the Browns too. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, if you take Dallas out of the top 10, I think you move everyone else up. I think you move the Lions to 7, move the Browns to 8, the Bills to 9, maybe slide the Seahawks in at number 10.
Yeah, I would have Seattle.
In there. Seattle is sneaky
good.
Seattle.
Seattle
is sneaky good.
I think you'd have Seattle as 10.
Okay, very good. Excellent.
And I think the Lions have beaten a better quality of appointments than the Dolphins, so I think you switched them up.
Okay,
but that's about it.
Okay, very good. Good stuff.
Don't go that far. But if I had told you at the beginning of the season, and this is, it's not probable, but it's possible. If I had told you at the beginning of the season the Super Bowl is going to be the Lions and the Jaguars.
Look, man, that's not crazy.
That's
not crazy.
It's
not crazy, man. It's not crazy. It could happen. It really could happen, man.
The Jaguars have the worst division in sports right now.
Oh yeah.
So they have a shot at getting the number 1 seed, but they need KC's division to actually give KC some trouble. But they're just poorly coached all around.
Phantom 313 says, "Watch out for Houston." Houston is better than we thought. I think CJ Stroud right now is a front runner for offensive rookie of the year. Defensive rookie of the year right now, 1000% is going to be Jalen Carter, and I think he might actually also win defensive player of the year. He is that fucking good. But here's the thing: can you imagine the environment? Can you imagine how lathered up that Detroit Lions fan base is going to be if they're the number 1 seed and they get to host a playoff game in the divisional round? I think that'll be a tough play. I think that'll be a tough place to play. That being said, look, the Lions they're good. I think they're still a year away. They're clearly overachieving. They're a great story. I'm pulling for them, except for when they play against the Eagles. Okay, let us go to the last segment of the day, and that is Miami J's Soccer Minute.
Yes.
So we're gonna talk a little bit. So we're gonna talk a little bit about Team USA soccer. So back on October 14th, Team USA played Germany. We were outshot. Now we lost that game. Pardon me. We lost that game 3-1. We were outshot 19-6. Germany had the ball 60% of the time. So there was a clear disparity in time of possession. Germany was much more aggressive defensively because they had 11 fouls to USA's 3. We had 7 corner kicks to Germany's 4, and Pulisic had the only goal. So, Mammy J, what did this performance against Germany tell you about Team USA? Well, just absent their performance against Ghana just 3 days later.
Actually, I think it's hard to separate them because the performances were actually very, very similar. This game against Germany was very encouraging, actually.
Okay.
And first off, the Pulisic goal, I don't know if we can show it. I have it pulled up on video here. It was
okay.
World-class goal.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can keep talking. I'll see if I can pull this
up. So it was really a tale of two halves.
Okay.
Berhalter, to his credit, so we talked about this last time. He got the roster selection right, meaning he called in all the right players.
Right.
Now he got the starting lineup right in both games. He played Gio Reyna in the middle. He played Pulisic out on the left, way out on the right. Everything lined up. The only missing piece out of this camp was Tyler Adams, who was injured. But I think that ended up being a good thing because I think we finally found his backup in Johnny Cardozo.
Okay.
So the U.S. came out in our prime formation, our best 11. Berhalter finally played the formation that we've been begging for, which is instead of a 4-3-3, we played a 4-2-3-1.
Okay.
And we played Germany really, really tight. We actually played really, really well in the first half. If you look at the first half alone, we tied Germany 1-1. Coming out for half 2, Berhalter started making substitutions, and his in-game management wasn't great. He went back to the 4-3-3, and that's when Germany hit us with 2 quick goals in succession. And to Berhalter's credit, he did go back to the 4-3-3 after. So he's showing a little bit of pragmatism, which is a great thing.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And we will talk about that here in a few minutes. Is Greg Berhalter learning? Is he getting better? So here is the Christian Pulisic goal. I'm gonna keep the sound down here. So this is so Christian Pulisic is number 10. There he goes. He splits the defenders. Look at this. Boom. Right in the top corner. That is unbelievable. Wow.
Wow.
He was surrounded. And that gave us the lead.
Yeah. And Germany tied it, close to the end of half. But like I said, we played that first half really well. We played really well and really fast in transition. It was a great thing to see. It reminded me of the USA-England game in the World Cup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we played
yes. The one where we got that draw. Gotcha. Okay, very good. Okay, now I did not expect that analysis. So 3 days later, on October 17th, we had a much better performance against the Black Stars of Ghana. This game was over early. We scored 4 goals in the first half, 3 in the first 22 minutes.
Yep.
We outshot Ghana 13-7. Now they outpossessed us 56-44, which means that we were just more efficient offensively. Ghana also had 2 yellow cards. They were aggressive defensively, but Team USA was able to overcome that. Gio Reyna with 2 goals. It had one at the 10th minute, the 39th minute. Christian Pulisic added one at the 19th minute with a penalty kick. Balogun added another one at the 22nd minute. What are your thoughts on USA winning 4-0 over Ghana? Is this a big nothing burger? Did we expect it? What happened?
It's not a nothing burger. First off, let me say this isn't the same Ghana team that we're used to with Michael Essien and Asamoah.
Yes, Michael Essien. I remember those guys.
This was a very young team, but still very, very talented. This is a team that went to the World Cup and showed very well. So it's a very good team. These are the caliber of teams that we need to be playing. The game itself, again, a tale of 2 halves. Berhalter came out with the right lineup in the right system. What was very encouraging about this game was, and Donovan, we talked about it before the World Cup, that the U.S. doesn't do very well when teams sit back and absorb our pressure.
That's right.
The U.S. was able to break down Ghana by, lo and behold, playing Gio Reyna in the middle. Who
knew?
Gio Reyna's got that key. He unlocked them very, very quickly. We scored 4 goals in the first half. Second half, same thing happened. Berhalter changed. And in these friendlies, the second half is notoriously underwhelming. But Berhalter changed the system again. Our level of play dropped. Ghana was able to take some advantage, but the Ghanaian team they kind of quit after the third goal.
Yeah, I was going to say after that, it looked like it was pretty much over. You could see it in their body language.
It was, but if we had played up to our potential in that second half, that game should have ended 7-8-0.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where Ghana had given up. So,
go ahead.
No, go ahead and introduce this.
Yeah, so Gio Reyna had 2 goals, and one of the big stories about last year's World Cup was Greg Berhalter's hesitation to use Gio Reyna the way Gio wanted to be used. His father, Claudio Reyna, said some stuff. It was a back and forth thing. So I guess my question to you, Miami J, is Greg Berhalter learning? Like, has he finally figured out, hey, who knew that one of our most talented players was critical to our success?
He seems to be learning.
Okay.
The thing about Berhalter was always, especially with things like roster selection, he learns very, very slowly.
Yes.
So you got to give him time. But hey, looks like he's finally learned. He played Gio Reyna in the middle. He came out in the right formation. The team had the right tactics where, we had normally he likes Serginho Dest and Anthony Robinson on the defense.
Yes.
Bomb forward and keep going forward and forward and forward. He held them back just a little bit, which is a good thing. So we weren't nearly as predictable. We actually played through the middle.
Okay.
And who knew? I've been saying this since
every time we talked about the World Cup and Team USA, Gio Reyna was always the topic of discussion, man.
Yeah, and as well as he should be. Gio Reyna, he's not the best player that the US has ever had.
No.
Well, he's got the highest ceiling of any player we've ever had.
He
can be the greatest player we've ever had.
Yeah.
Much greater than Pulisic, let alone Landon Donovan.
Brian McBride, Landon Donovan, those guys, yeah.
Well, make no mistake about it. Pulisic has surpassed anybody else we ever had.
Yes, he is the most talented, yes.
Yeah. The thing that worries me now is teams take on the personality of their coach.
Mm-hmm.
So even if Berhalter learns all the right things and he puts in the right tactics, which hopefully he will continue to do.
Right.
My worry with this team is I don't know that they have that grit and that fight of past USA teams. The team that famously held out against Belgium with those 20 some odd.
Yeah, back in 14. Yeah, man.
I don't know that they have that in their arsenal yet.
Okay.
Jurgen Klinsmann, Bob Bradley, even Bruce Arena, they were very, very good motivators.
Okay.
Greg Berhalter is not that. He's very cerebral. It's kind of awkward to even watch his locker room talks because he'll throw in a curse word every now and then, but he talks very quietly. And he says,
he's not that guy.
Yeah, he's that guy. We can't let them beat us in their own house because we fucking own this place. USA on 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes. That's Berhalter. So my hope is that this team does develop that hunger and that fight and that mentality that they play best as underdogs. That's when the U.S. is at its best.
I say bring back Jurgen Klinsmann. I think he is the best.
I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
Dude, I love Jurgen Klinsmann, man. Me personally, and I think Team USA performed the best. Listen, we did well this year. We got into the knockout stages, but just the eyeball test showed me that Jurgen Klinsmann, to me, I think he got the most out of Team USA.
Yeah, the ultimate measure of a coach is, are you making this team greater than the sum of its parts?
There you go. And I think
Greg Berhalter hasn't done that once in 3 years.
No, not yet.
I think this was only the third or fourth game we've had against top 10 opposition. The one against Germany.
Yeah.
And his record against those opponents is not good. So some drastic
cleaned up.
By the way, next month in November, the U.S. plays Trinidad twice.
Really?
Once at home, once away. On paper,
it's like a home and home.
Yeah, on paper, we should by far beat them both games. But these 2 games are the qualifiers for the Copa America next summer.
Oh, that's right. So, that I knew.
That tournament is a big measuring stick and a big opportunity for the U.S. to prepare for the World Cup.
Okay, very good. Good analysis there by Miami J. That is going to do it for this edition of TSR Sports Talk. We are going to be back on Saturday where hopefully we can take phone calls. I'm probably going to buy. I'm going to have to either figure it out or just or buy a new Roadcaster. But one way or another, we will continue to bring you guys this this unbelievable content. Great show today, guys. And we will talk to you guys on Saturday.